and welcome. Tonight, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, assures Nigerians that the federal government is committed to engaging all citizens and groups in the ongoing conversation on the tax reforms bill. Nigeria authorities cleared the air on the newly detected COVID-19 variant found in Australia and some other European countries, says it's not in Nigeria. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, calls on world leaders to channel resources into preventive and proactive investments in global health security. President of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, named as the first ever African administration, is committed to engaging with all citizens and institutions in the ongoing conversations on the proposed tax reform bills currently before the National Assembly. The minister, who gave the assurance at the National Discourse on Tax Reform Bills organized by the Kaduna State chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, said the proposed tax reform bills is not targeted at any region, but is aimed to strengthen tax administration in the country in line with global best practices.
Arun Malami, member.
The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is organizing this forum as part of the conversation to deepen understanding on the tax reform bills. Those in attendance include the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, the Presidential Committee on Tax Reforms, politicians, religious and traditional rulers, as well as the academia. Themed Tax Reforms, Role of Public Relations in Fostering Constructive Dialogue for National Renaissance, the President of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations lays the foundation for the discussion.
We saw the responsibility to provide this credible professional platform for citizens to engage with government on this issue of tax reforms. We have done research, we have followed up, we have engaged, and we can really predict that unless we all sit down as we are sitting down today to discuss this matter, people may not understand where government is going.
A member of the Presidential Committee on Tax Reforms explains the importance of the bill.
The government is not ready or willing to tax poverty, but to tax prosperity. The next policy direction is to make our economy competitive. You know, most of us, we complain that some businesses are going to Ghana, going to different places. So how can we make our environment, business climate, business environment competitive so that it will attract investors?
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Idris, describes the ongoing review of the country's tax laws as timely and crucial.
The ongoing review of the country's tax laws and realities is not just timely, but it is also crucial, especially as part of a larger set of macroeconomic reforms aimed at setting the country on an irreversible path of growth and development.
There were concerns and questions on certain parts of the bill, including the education tax and VAT sharing formula.
If you look at the development levy, they have the intention in the long run is to eliminate some aspect that we are benefiting now, which I want them to take into consideration. What the government, we are thinking in the academia is that the government is planning to privatize these institutions so that they will be charging fees to students, which in the long run is going to affect the poor people. I want them to look into this.
During the panel discussion, some of the panelists highlight the pros and cons of the tax reform bills.
This is the first time in the history of Nigeria where a bold and courageous attempt is made to reconfigure, reset, and rearrange Nigeria's economy that has been parasitic, dormant, and docile. We have been told that this is the giant of Africa, but where lies our economy? You will continue to be opposed, you will continue to be challenged until the fruit of those reforms started bearing fruit.
There is the need for us to begin to build trust within the polity. We need to understand that I don't trust my government to collect this tax and use it to do something that will affect affect me as an individual. What comes to my mind is that this tax will just eventually enrich the already richer persons to my own detriment.
According to the Information Minister, the federal government will continue to engage diverse views on the bill to ensure that all concerns are resolved.
Please, if you are not so, please, sir.
From aviation to health matters now, the federal government has emphasized that the newly detected XEC COVID-19 variant identified in Australia and some other countries in Europe is not in Nigeria. The Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, which made the confirmation, explained that a recently leaked letter addressed to the Committee of Chief Medical Directors was precautionary and not intended to cause panic. In the letter dated December the 5th, the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare had asked health authorities to activate heightened alert systems across hospitals and maintain a high index of suspicion for patients with COVID-like symptoms. It also called for collaboration with relevant stakeholders to share critical data regarding the variant and implement enhanced monitoring protocols. Meanwhile, outside our shores, Nigeria's coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, says trillions of dollars in stimulus money spent by world leaders during the COVID-19 pandemic proves that global resources are available for intervention. But that is now needed in form of preventive and proactive investments in global health security. Professor Ali Pate informed the forum in Doha, Qatar, that President Bola Tinubu, who serves as the African Union's champion for health, is implementing a comprehensive reform of the sector that is harmonizing health policies and programs of subnational governments with the federal government's reform initiative. He made this known as he represented Nigeria's strategic blueprint for the sector before an audience of global leaders at the Doha Forum today.
Domestic financing had not been, let's say, allocatively very efficient. It had focused on higher-end care, which was not as efficient, to reorienting towards primary health care and expanding the functionality of the primary health care system is at the core of the President's renewed hope agenda, the Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative, to expand the functionality of the primary health care system, to prevent diseases, but also to deal with them very early on before they get complicated, and to expand the infrastructure, the human resources and services by making sure that population are able to afford that. So expanding the vulnerable groups fund so that we use the resources that we have and use it well. And in an era where we are interdependent and interconnected, it's really a silly game to think that we can be in isolation. Guaranteeing basic access for everyone, investing towards that actually is in everyone's enlightened self-interest. So there are resources. The only thing we lack is the political will. If you think about conflict and the cost of war, we have not talked about the dividend of peace. And how can that be channeled to investing in our common humanity?
Back home, the Nasarawa State Governor, Mr. Abdullahi Sule, has assessed the damage done on the Lafia Modern Market in the state capital after a fire destroyed shops at the tailoring section. The governor promised the traders of his administration support to get them back in business as soon as possible. The cause of the blaze, number of people and properties affected is yet to be ascertained by the authorities.
First and foremost, we are here because of the fire incident at the modern market here in Lafia yesterday. From what I was told, there was fire incident that started around the area where the tailors were operating. And it started early and actually ended maybe somewhere around 10 p.m. So let me first and foremost thank the Almighty God for the opportunity that this had not spread to any other areas. It's restricted to this very small area where the tailors were operating. Let me also use the opportunity to thank the fire service, both the federal and state, that had worked very, very hard yesterday, including the security officials and our people from the Ministry of Trade and the Marketing Board for doing everything possible, along with the generality of the people, because I was told the number of people in Lafia that came out yesterday to assist were enormous. So let me thank the good people of Lafia that had all come out in order to assist us and ensure that the fire was contained. So let me thank them sincerely. I promise the marketing officials here that by the grace of God, government will do whatever it is that they can do to support the people, because this is a very difficult moment already economically, and when people again are affected with this kind of incident, it goes to add to their economic hardship.
The Kano state government has accused the federal government of being responsible for the barricade of the palace of the 16th Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, by security operatives on Thursday. The secretary to the state government, Mr. Abdullahi Binchi, who made the claims while speaking with journalists in Kano, said the incident took many by surprise as they witnessed the police sealing off the entrance to the Emir's palace and obstructing the day's activities. He expressed shock over the development, describing it as a deliberate move to create chaos in a peaceful state. He also emphasized that despite the disruption, the Kano state government will proceed with the planned activities and the Emir's appointment of the district head remains firm. In part two, after the break, we turn our attention to the ongoing second season of Channels Television's social impact entrepreneurship reality show, Funded Forward, where change agents are competing for 55 million naira prize money. That's in a moment. Join us again. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, assures Nigerians that the federal government is committed to engaging all citizens and groups in the ongoing conversation on the tax reforms bill. Nigeria authorities cleared the air on the newly detected XEC COVID-19 variant found in Australia and some other countries in Europe, said it's not in Nigeria. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Fateh, called on world leaders to channel resources into preventive and proactive investment in global health security. And President of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, named as first ever African of the Decade by the All African Business Leaders Awards, ALBLA. Of Sokoto and Zamfara states have been asked to enhance enrollment into their state contributory healthcare schemes to expand insurance coverage and provide quality service to the people. This appeal was made by the Chief of Party of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, Dr. Bolanle Faleye, during a training for staff and management of the Sokoto and Zamfara State Healthcare Management Agencies in Birin Kebbi, the Kebbi state capital.
This three-day training is coming on the heels of the approval given by the Sokoto state government for the enrollment of the formal sector in the state contributory health insurance scheme. The training aims to equip health insurance managers from Zamfara and Sokoto states with the tools needed to strengthen enrollment to achieve universal health coverage.
USAID has asked us, Local Health System Sustainability Project, to organize this capacity building session for the staff of the Sokoto State Contributory Healthcare Management Agency, and also by association, the neighboring states, the Zamfara State Contributory Healthcare Management Agency. Zamfara State have had their formal sector enrolled, a couple of years back, but we also want to strengthen, the engagement process, the utilization of services in Zamfara, as we are also starting off in Sokoto.
While the two states have approved the enrollment of workers in the formal sector, the release of State Health Equity Fund is required to cover the poor and vulnerable in the informal sector. Two major priorities identified during the training are the need for effective engagement of political leaders and improved awareness of the benefits of health insurance by the population.
This enrollment is commencing in just a month to come. We have to have ways to ensure that we deviate ourselves from any hitch or having issues that will bring lapses or distraction to the program.
As you are aware, here in the north, generally the concept of health insurance is poorly understood. So one of the measures we are taking is to enlighten the populace about the importance and benefits of this health insurance issues in the state.
The training concluded with a strong commitment from the states to prioritize advocacy and strategic communication to bridge the gaps in health insurance enrollments.
The Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Betokun, is warning commercial boat operators to put safety measures in place during their operations or face penalties. The Kogi State Police Commissioner, Mr. Benthard Onoha, stated this when he represented the IGP during an assessment of some of the affected communities by last week's boat mishap in a border town. The state government is also vowing not to allow night travel while promising to ensure that boat operators comply with safety regulations to avert any accident.
The Kogi State Police Commissioner is joined by the commander of the Nigerian Navy ship Lugard and the Speaker of the Kogi State House of Assembly on this assessment visit to Bata community of Kogi State. The community is one of the areas affected by last week's boat mishap in Kacha local government area of Niger State. Some of the occupants of the tragic boat accident are residents of this area. The journey to the community is full of twists and turns as the delegation endured the dusty road for over 90 minutes. The team arrived at Ebe, another community affected by the mishap, and the community is holding 8 days prayers for those that lost their lives. The community provides update on the incident to the delegation and urges the government to make a law banning night travel.
There was no manifest to take the record of those that entered and phone number and as possible their next of kin. So as of now, we can't ascertain how many that died and how many that survived, but we know majority of the occupants of the boat survived.
Aside from carrying out assessment of the situation, the delegation also is paying condolence visits to the families and communities affected by the disaster. The Speaker of the Kogi State House of Assembly, who is representing Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State, pledges to work with the traditional rulers in riverine areas to ensure all safety regulations are adhered to by both operators.
We have communicated to them through the paramount ruler that measures will be coming. You know, we have safety measures. No night journey, no more boarding without safety life jacket. That will be enforced by the special grace of God.
The state's police commissioner brings word from the Inspector General of Police to the relatives of the victims and issues a warning to boat operators.
The IGP is not happy about it, and a lot of measures are to be put into place to prevent future occurrences.
According to the Kogi State Emergency Management Agency, 24 persons were rescued and only 20 bodies have been recovered, while the number of the occupants of the boat is yet to be ascertained. Already, a team from the Nigeria Police Force Marine Unit is in Kogi State to investigate the cause of the accident.
Some of the Ijaw people of Rivers State have hailed Governor Fubara for his political survival and dexterity in the face of many challenges. This was made known in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, today during a forum by the Ijaw Wari Initiative. The former president of the group applauded the governor for standing for the Ijaw nation and defending their interests, while the governor's representatives assured the group of good governance going into the new year.
On the 30th of October last year, a group of young men and women came to fight, put their lives on the line, led by Governor Fubara, and they were able to arrest a group of groupies who wanted to use political power to throw us and him out of office. Even the police who saw him were shooting at him and telling us on television that they didn't recognize the government. Can you imagine?
Now let's turn our attention to the ongoing second season of Channels Television's social impact entrepreneurship reality show, Funded Forward, where change agents are competing for 55 million naira prize money. In this next edition, scheduled for tomorrow, Sunday, some agents close big deals, including one worth over 100 million naira. This report goes behind the director's camera for a preview.
It's week 4 of Channels TV's competitive social entrepreneurship reality show, Funded Forward, Season 2. And the agents have transitioned from pitching their sustainable businesses to driving for results in the real world. The ideas have been incubated and energized through the show's masterclasses and trainings. So the show part is over, and these agents are experiencing real-life sink or swim moments. This next episode, scheduled for Sunday, December 8th, will capture a special moment for one of the agents, Chioma Okpabi, who is the co-founder of Sook Technologies, a platform that is helping to reshape skills acquisition and vocational landscape in Nigeria.
Okay, I believe in what you guys are doing because I watch the testimonials, I follow you guys up, and we will be making an initial payment by tomorrow.
She has closed a deal worth over 100 million naira. She describes the moment as filled with mixed emotions.
Like it was, I don't know, you know that moment when you're just feeling surprised, shocked, tensed at the same time. That was how I felt at that moment.
While it was her original idea, she acknowledged the glaring impact of the Funded Forward mentorship and masterclasses.
Every single facilitator that has actually come to give us a masterclass, presentation has come with something very valuable. Right now, I would not say it was just the facilitator that spoke to us about partnership, sponsorship, and investment, but I would say every single facilitator from supply side, enterprise story, because if we didn't have facilitators that taught us about enterprise story, I don't think I would have had the right word to be able to, speak to that, partner to come in, right?
She's not the only one with a big ace up her sleeve this week. 24-year-old Israel Kehinde has his own winnings to count as well. In partnership with the Nigerian University, his Luck Book Limited has secured over $250,000 plus other wins to scale his e-reading platform.
Screen grabbing and
he's also much closer to actualizing a trailblazing social impact of creating the world's first battery and glare-free e-reading device.
Yeah, so that's just one of the many ones that we've gotten, and that's just locally, right? Even globally, I can tell you that we are so much more closer to our vision than ever, because it's all looking like it's just going to, happen, right? Like it's no more a mirage, right? We've gotten several deals, right? And one of it has come from Autodesk, which is a multinational company that handles engineering, and they produce some of the best industry software, I think CAD and a lot of others. And so, because we have a working partnership to produce an e-reader hardware for customers, right? So that schools can put in their libraries and students can have, right? So the software is very expensive because it comes with a lot of features, right? We've gotten that software, which it's called the Nastran software anyway. So it's cost normally hundreds of thousands of dollars, but because of the exposure that we've gotten through this program and the fact that we've been able to collaborate with certain research institutions also locally, right? We are able to get that software, right, for free, actually.
12 agents have walked into the show with beautiful business ideas, some with foundation works already done. And in these past 4 weeks, they've grown visibly, and one person has witnessed the growth firsthand.
I see them totally different. From the first week, you see the growth, you can almost see it, like just almost touch it. From the first week to the second week, down to just the different weeks, just watching them grow grow and become more mature in person and, of course, with their ideas as well.
This season has a cumulative 55 million naira prize money for grabs across the top 3 spots. But it feels like the biggest win for these agents is the opportunities to subject their startups to real-life stress tests under the watchful eyes of top consultants and judges. The full episode 4 of Funded Forward Season 2 will air this Sunday, Channels Television.
Something to look forward to tomorrow. I'll still ahead on the news at 10. Honduras' external reserves climbs higher to $40.30 billion due to impact of oversubscription of the recent Eurobond issuance by the Debt Management Office. That's on Business News. Do stay with us. Welcome back. The Chief Judge of Katsina State, Justice Musa Danladi Abubakar, is appealing to the police and other authorities to ensure due diligence is done in the prosecution of criminal elements. Justice Abubakar stated this against the backdrop of rising insecurity in the northwest region. However, the state government is promising to end insecurity in Katsina.
Nigeria's northwest region has been plagued by a distressing surge in violence, raising significant concerns about the effectiveness of the country's security measures and the growing influence of non-state actors. The region, encompassing 7 states, Jigawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara, covers roughly over 216,000 square kilometers, nearly equivalent to the size of the entire United Kingdom. Despite its vast resources, including gold, the region remains impoverished. Statistics from 2019 indicate a high poverty rate, as approximately 80% of the population rely on farming, pastoralism, or small-scale entrepreneurship. Literacy rate stands at just 29.7%, largely due to inadequate investment in formal education. Katsina State is combating the threats of criminal elements that find their way back to crime after escaping from the hands of the law.
We should put in place measures that will address crime and criminality, deal with those that are found wanting, so that it will serve as a deterrent to others. We need to address our judicial process. The security forces are doing the needful, but unfortunately, when you arrest a suspect, they will charge him to court, and the court process is so corrupted to the level that criminals know how to find their way out.
Aside bureaucratic bottlenecks, the Chief Judge of Katsina State believes the prosecuting authorities should be professional in handling criminal justice cases.
There is unprofessionalism in handling cases, but we are going around that. The administration of criminal justice law has revolutionized some of those issues. Like now, the police need to record the statement of an accused.
Nevertheless, the state government is focusing on adopting a holistic approach to resolve the challenge as well as the larger challenge of insecurity.
Out of the action plans, he created Ministry of Internal Security, Home Affairs, and whereby he also created my office. That is the wisdom behind it. And that's why he created different sections and intervention methods, whereby the implementation process and others differs accordingly. He divided it according to 2 sectors, whereby he said kinetic approach to the insecurity will be taken care of by the Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs, whereby he said non-kinetic aspect of it, he is going to tackle it through our offices, various offices of intervention.
Prosecuting authorities are appealing to the judiciary to deepen its cooperation and ensure that criminal elements do not escape the consequences of their actions.
In the meantime, a coalition of northern groups has raised alarm over an alleged plan by the federal government to allow the French government to establish and operate a military base in the north as part of efforts to tackle insecurity in the region. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, the group says intelligence at their disposal reveals that Part of the recent bilateral agreement signed between France and the federal government includes provisions for France to operate a military base in Nigeria. The group asked the federal government to halt such plans and appealed to the National Assembly to take a stand on the matter in order to protect the sovereignty of the nation.
We would like to reassure ourselves that our dear president is very intimately aware of the raging issue of insecurity, ravaging particularly the northern part of our dear country, which is mostly being characterized by armed banditry, insurgency, kidnapping, inter-ethnic and communal clashes, and youth restiveness, and thus cannot afford to initiate any unwise policy or undertake any action that by any stretch of imagination will undermine the ongoing collective efforts by our military and security forces to restore peace and stability in our dear fatherland. The leadership and entire members of the CNG is compelled by a deep sense of patriotic duty to use this medium to strongly protest and alert Nigerians on the contemplated unconstitutional and indispensable action taken recently by the government in granting alleged permission to France, a militarian and notorious imperialist power, to establish an expeditionary military base in our dear country. This is also linked with the reported case of bilateral agreement signed between Nigeria and France, giving her unrestricted access to our nation's huge mineral resources. We wish to call on all our distinguished senators and honorable members of the National Assembly to stand firm and united in defense of our nation's sovereignty and the freedom of our people.
To education now. The governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti, has expressed his administration's determination to reform the education sector, announcing a 20% budget allocation and extensive support for institutions. Speaking at the combined convocation ceremony of the Dr. Ogbonnaya Polytechnic in Aba, the governor unveiled a series of initiatives aimed at positioning Abia's educational institutions as centers of excellence and innovation.
It's the 19th to the 21st combined convocation ceremony at the Dr. Ogbonnaya Polytechnic, Aba, formerly known as Abia State Polytechnic, and the academic procession signals the commencement of the ceremony at the pavilion. To kickstart activities for the day, the state governor, Dr. Alex Oti, who is in attendance, first commissions the school's reconstructed main entrance gate, a newly renovated administrative building, as well as the renovated rector's lodge.
I so do in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
The governor also performs foundation laying ceremony for a perimeter fencing of the Osisioma campus, amongst others. And back at the institution's pavilion, the rector, Dr. Christopher Okoro, highlights recent remarkable feats, which includes introduction of cutting-edge courses like artificial intelligence.
Your Excellency, today, of which we had wanted you to look through most of the projects we have done through your support, Your Excellency. The new gate, the renovated rector's lodge, abandoned for over 14 years. Today, we have renovated administrative block, the renovated BKH, renovated ABC block, newly equipped science block, renovated skills development building, renovated sports complex, and renovated and newly constructed sports arena. The tidying of all the classrooms. Your Excellency, before now, our dear students could not make use of their classroom properly.
In his address, Governor Oti announces a reward of 1 million naira business grants for 150 exceptional graduates.
For us in Abia, the choice has long been made in the pattern of investments and other expressions of commitment in the expansion of the formal and non-formal learning environment for our children. In line with the administration's goal of supporting exceptional individuals who have made their marks in particular assignment, the state government shall give business grants of 1 million naira each to 150 most outstanding HND graduates taking part in this convocation ceremony today.
Staff and students of the institution are ecstatic and look forward to more transformation in line with Governor Oti's dedication to transforming education sector in the state.
Still talking education, the governor of Taraba State, Abu Kefas, has approved the creation of the Ministry of Tertiary Education in the state. In a statement signed by the secretary to the government of the state, Governor Kefas directed that Professor Nicholas Oliver, who is the Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Security, oversee the activities of the newly created ministry, pending the nomination and approval of a substantive commissioner by the State Assembly. It adds that the Permanent Secretary, Health Services Management Board, Hamidu Kara, is to supervise the activities of the new ministry pending the posting of a substantive Permanent Secretary. The Ministry of Tertiary Education had existed under the leadership of the former Governor, Darius Ishaku. The Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy has reiterated that the National Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill will enable citizens have easy access to public service information digitally, enhance transparency and accountability in governance if it is passed. This was disclosed during the stakeholders' engagement organized by the Federal Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy in collaboration with the Imo State Ministry of Digital Economy and E-Government. Our correspondent, Aitokwe Kutei, has this report.
Stakeholders in the tech ecosystem in Imo State and some players in the private sector are in this hall for an engagement on the proposed National Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill before the National Assembly. The program is put together by the National Information Technology Development Agency in collaboration with the Imo State government. In his opening address, the Imo State Commissioner for Digital Economy and E-Government, Chimeze Amadi, sheds more light on the National Digital Economy and E-Governance Bill and what it means to the nation's economy.
This bill made up of 4 chapters, 14 parts, 63 sections, and 35 pages, undoubtedly holds the promise of accelerating digital transformation, enhance access to digital services across Nigeria, while improving the certainty of digital transaction and laying a solid foundation for sustainable growth in our digital ecosystem.
Next, the representative of the National Information Technology Development Agency sheds more light on the bill with a PowerPoint presentation.
Now, this bill, it comes in to transform our way of doing things, to move us from that manual to digital, to ensure that everybody has equal access to government services, equal access to public health, equal access to administrative processes.
Some participants at the meeting want the National Assembly to expedite action on the bill.
If the bill is passed, a lot of things will be made easy, a lot of things will be made easy to access, documents will easily be transferred, land matters will be easily traced. Many cases of people playing hanky-panky with documents and information will be highly reduced.
We are 100% in support of this bill that have been introduced to us today. We will give every legislative support to make sure that this bill passes in Imo State. And I think today's engagement have increased our level of knowledge in digital knowledge skills and other issues discussed in today's events.
The organizers say further stakeholders' engagement on the bill will be held across the 36 states of the Federation. Iyitokwe Kutei, Channels Television News.
Beneficiaries of the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, High-Prep Livelihood Skills Training, have received their certificates alongside starter packs. The distribution and certificate presentation ceremony to over 5,000 beneficiaries marked a milestone for the organization as part of its peace-building and development initiatives in Ogoniland. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, has this report.
This
These beneficiaries have completed their trainings in various skills within the last 5 months, with focus in areas such as industrial welding, metal fabrication, onshore and offshore skill sets, aviation, crane operation, solar panel and CCTV installation, fashion designing, among others. Speaking at the event, Hyprep Project Coordinator Professor Nenebara Nizabe urged the beneficiaries to use the opportunity to transform Ogoniland, stressing that the starter parks are tools for empowerment, not gifts.
Today, we celebrate the completion of the various training and the distribution of starter packs to the trainees. It's a testament to Hyprep's commitment. We urge the beneficiaries of this initiative to fully utilize the skills and kits to benefit their families and communities. We are rolling out another training stream in demand-driven skill areas. This includes training in full-stack development, GIS and remote sensing, cyber security, rope access, commercial diving and underwater welding, mud logging, mechatronics, and agri-skill enhancement.
Some stakeholders at the event commend the initiative, describing it as a testament to Hyprep's commitment to Ogoni youths. They highlight the project coordinator's effort as instrumental in bringing meaningful development to the area.
If you look at the Hyprep, the UNEP report, there is nowhere in that UNEP report that talks about the issue of Nigeria. It was when we get to Geneva that Ben Nine said, no, there is no way the Hyprep will come and clean up without thinking of what to give to the people that have been displaced by our environment.
Some of the beneficiaries share their thoughts on the exercise.
As a beneficiary of the Hyprep Livelihood Program, I must say it's a good one. I'm happy about it. All of us, the trainees, have been anticipating for this day to come. Today we've been given the starter kits. And basically the starter kits are supposed to be used to train the fishes that will be provided to us. Because I did fish farming. The fish farming is all about rearing of fishes from fingerling stage to the harvest stage.
I feel so excited that I'm among those that are benefiting from this very huge program today.
I want to say congratulations.
Hyprep is confident that with the handover of the starter parks, beneficiaries can kickstart their new ventures and contribute to the well-being of Ogoniland. Deborah Abalama, Channels Television News.
Company news now. Indigenous airline Air Peace has responded to allegations by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC. The company's chief operating officer, Toyin Olajide, says Air Peace has reported the FCPC to the presidency following reports that the commission is investigating the airline over exploitative fares. In a media conference in Lagos, Mrs. Olajide expressed the company's displeasure over the Commission's recent questionable actions, wondering what criteria it used, considering the cost of operations in Nigeria's aviation space.
The arrival of the Chief Executive Officer of Air Peace Limited, Dr. Allen Onyema, signals the start of this press conference. Top of the agenda,
the FCPC to the presidency following reports that the commission is investigating the airline over exploitative fares. In a media conference in Lagos, Mrs. Olajide expressed the company's displeasure over the commission's recent questionable actions, wondering what criteria it used, considering the cost of operations in Nigeria's aviation space.
The arrival of the Chief Executive Officer of Air Peace Limited, Dr. Allen Onyema, signals the start of this press conference. Top of the agenda is an immediate response to the FCCPC's controversial statement confirming that it was investigating Air Peace over allegations of exploitative airfares, a term the airline false. The company's chief operating officer, Tony Olajide, denies any wrongdoing, stating that the allegations are unfounded, mischievous, and damaging for the airline's credible reputation.
How do you even come about the cost of a ticket? It is the operating cost of that flight. The operating cost. Then what are the factors that define operating cost? You start talking about fuel, which we all know contributes almost 60 to 65% of your operating cost. We know that the federal government of Nigeria is very supportive of airpeace, and we don't take this for granted. We know this is not the federal government itself. It's probably coming from some quarters, using the name of the federal government to do all of this unacceptable, damage to airpeace.
She also assures its customers and stakeholders that it will continue to cooperate with regulatory agencies to ensure that its operations meet the required international standards.
Airpeace belongs to Nigeria. What airpeace has done in Nigeria today is for the benefit of the whole of this country. So we cannot sit back and allow this same airline that has rescued us to be pulled down for reasons that are not justified.
Airpeace is Nigeria and West Africa's largest airline, and the company maintains that it will continue to prioritize the safety and comfort of its passengers, adding that its operations are guided by the highest standards of integrity and professionalism.
Time to find out what's happening in the world of business. Willie Bong has details. Thank you, Melinda. The president of the African Development Bank and Nigeria's former Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, has been named the first ever African of the Decade by the All African Business Leaders Award. Dr. Adesina, who received the honor today during the Africa Investment Forum, AIF, in Rabat, Morocco, was awarded in recognition of various initiatives taken by the financial institution to improve lives across Africa within its 10-year tenure at the bank, which ends next year. The award recognized Adesina's efforts to develop the continent and Ghana capital through its high-five strategic initiatives: Light Up Africa, Empower Africa, Feed Africa, Industrialize Africa, Integrate Africa, and improve the lives of the people of Africa. Since assuming leadership at the AFDB on May 28, 2015, Mr. Akinwumi has won multiple awards for his stellar performance at the multilateral finance institution, which has contributed significantly to the development of many African countries. And Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves have maintained its accretion this week as the gross level grew by $68.65 million week on week to $40.3 billion as of December the 3rd. Financial market analysts attribute the increase in the country's foreign exchange market buffer to the recent $2.2 billion Eurobond issuance. It was just almost a month ago that the FX reserves crossed the $40 billion level, which is the highest in 3 years. And still with the foreign exchange matters, FX trading activities at the FMDQ exchange ended negative this week as total turnover of transactions carried out on the platform fell to $1.77 billion at the close of this week. This amount represents a 24.03% week-on-week decrease against the more than $2.33 billion value of transactions recorded last week. According to the FMDQ, the week-on-week decrease in total turnover was solely driven by a significant drop in turnover on the FX spot segment of the FX market, while a week-on-week increase on the derivatives segment of the market was solely driven by a $5 million increase in the FX forwards market turnover.
Elsewhere on the FMDQ platform, the Naira strengthened by 3.56% to 1,623 Naira 54 kobo against the dollar at the NAFEX window, in contrast to 1,681 Naira 35 kobo recorded last week. And that's a wrap on business. It's back to you, Melinda.
Time now for some sports stories. In the Nigeria Premier Football League, Alex Agawa scored the winning goal as Shooting Stars of Ibadan defeated Sunshine Stars of Akure 1-0 in a Southwest Derby. The victory took Shooting Stars to 5th on the table. In the North Central Derby, Nasarawa United edged past Lobi Stars 1-0 at the Lafia Township Stadium. Kamal Adegoke scored the lone goal to move the Solid Miners out of the relegation zone. West Ham United have confirmed that star forward Michael Antonio is in stable condition, conscious and communicating in hospital following a road accident. The Premier League side, however, wished Antonio speedy recovery. Photographs from the scene showed extensive damage to the front of the vehicle which Antonio was riding in London. The Jamaican, who joined West Ham United in 2015, has scored 83 goals for the club in more than 300 games. West Ham United hosts Wolverhampton Wanderers at the London Olympic Stadium on Monday. In the English Premier League, Manchester City twice came from behind to draw with Crystal Palace as the defending champions' underwhelming run of form continued. Manchester City are 8 points behind leaders Liverpool. John Duran's first goal since September allowed Aston Villa to make it back-to-back wins and piled further misery on Southampton. Nottingham Forest capitalized on Manchester United's defensive blunders to record their first win at Old Trafford in almost 30 years. Brentford maintained the best home record with a 4-2 victory over Newcastle United in an entertaining game. The Marseille-side derby between Everton and Liverpool at Goodison Park has been postponed due to safety concerns because of the severe weather conditions. And on the foreign scene, votes are being counted after the general election in Ghana following a vote process that was largely peaceful, save for a fatal shooting in the northern part of the country. Police said 4 men were arrested at the polling station in the town of Nyankpala, where an opposition MP candidate had attempted to file a complaint, but was stopped by ruling party supporters. Soldiers have since been sent to the area in armored vehicle to restore calm. Elsewhere, Election Day has been peacefully conducted, with some Ghanaians queuing before dawn to make sure they cast their ballot. And the main news again. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, today assured Nigerians that the federal government is committed to engaging all citizens and groups in the ongoing conversation on the tax reform bills. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Kinlami on behalf of the team. Good night.